Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibiers, welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. We are cruising right through this crash course to get you all ready for Lori Vallow's trial that is set to start April 3rd, 12 days from now. And you guys are actually watching this on Wednesday. I'm recording this on Tuesday due to the fact it's spring break and I'm trying to free up my daytime to be with my youngest daughter, especially. My teenagers are everywhere. But so today, Judge Boyce ruled he is taking the death penalty off the table for Lori. I'm going to do a short episode at some point about this, either later tonight or tomorrow. I'm not sure which one of these you're going to see first. It just depends on what's going on in my world. Also, one thing that just bothers me to my core is that Judge Boyce denied a motion by Tammy Daybell's family to remote stream this trial due to illness and the fact that apparently somebody cannot travel to watch the trial for their daughter. I don't know what's up with all this, but here's the thing. You are going to release the audio at some point, whether it's the day of, at the end of the day, the next day, gosh knows when we'll get it, how we'll get it, but it's going to be out there. Why are we not live streaming this trial? It is 2023. I just don't get it. It blows my mind. I kind of feel like this has turned into the Hot Mess Express, to be honest, in a lot of ways. All right, music fact of the day. The abbreviation AC/DC stands for alternating current, direct current. So when Malcolm and Angus Young's oldest sister saw this abbreviated form on a sewing machine and told them about it, it gave the brothers the idea to name their band that because they believed this name shows power-driven performance, raw energy, and a love for music. Love me some AC/DC. Also, I have a couple of little things, little tidbits. Correction, Kay Woodcock, JJ's grandma and Charles's sister, sent me a text last night to clarify one little thing. It was in the document dump, but when Charles was packing for Houston, when he was going to take JJ with him, if you remember when all this was hitting the fan, JJ was not at school. He was actually with Mama and Papa in Louisiana, spending time with his grandparents. So thank you, Miss Kay, for clearing that up for us. I'm glad you got some time with you, sweet boy. Also, I pulled this from some notes that I had. Anytime there's a documentary, I try to take notes and grab these interesting little tidbits here and there just to have, and probably inserted this in an episode, gosh knows when. But Melanie Gibb gave an interview. I believe this might have been either with East Idaho News or Dateline. I'm not sure. But she said that Tammy was suspicious about Chad and Lori and actually confronted Chad about it. Melanie said she didn't think Tylee liked Lori. She got the feeling Tylee did not want to be around her mom and said it was a strange relationship. She also said Tylee did not like Chad. None of that surprises me. We know in the beginning and really up until his murder, Charles talked about the drastic change in Lori, and Tylee lived with her during this period of just rapid acceleration into these beliefs and these plans. And so I'm sure she heard talk, and Tylee was 16. She could comprehend some of these things that were being said. We know that at one point, Lori called Tylee a zombie, and Tylee's like, not me, Mom. And I don't doubt that she did not like Chad. We've heard Tylee was a spitfire, and I love that about her. And I think a lot of that's due to the way she was raised in a very protective nature of herself. I mean, she was raised in chaos, unfortunately. And I'm sure this guy coming around just creeped her out. So we are still on July the 11th, but we're in the evening now. And as if things can't get any crazier, for those of you very new to this case, hold your horses because this is coming, right? 7:36 p.m. Chad Daybell calls Valley of the Sun Mortuary saying his name is Chad Dayball. Y'all, these names, he is not creative. How did he write books? I mean, how did he come up with these names in books? Chad Dayball, Boyd Dial. Oh, he tells the operator that his uncle, John Myron Dayball, passed away at a hospital in Chandler and was being taken to the medical examiner's office. He said he was helping the family with services and asked about the cost to cremate someone and to ship the remains to New Orleans, where the family would hold services later. Now, important to note, Charles has family in Louisiana, and so I think he was trying to get a roundabout figure saying New Orleans. Investigators noted in the document dump that the same card Lori used to pay the mortuary, she actually used that card to fly Chad from Provo, Utah to Arizona. Stay classy, Lori. When asked for a phone number, Chad gave a 515 area code, which is in Iowa, and he says he doesn't remember his own phone number. And after a really long pause, he gives a number. Once connected to the mortuary, Chad tells the uncle story again and says, "We'll deal with the service later." Now, what does he do after saying this? He giggles. The representative expresses condolences, and Chad says, "Yeah, it's sad to see him go." Chad was given an estimate of what it would cost, and he says he would also call around for other estimates. I will put that audio up on my website, prettyliesandalibis.org, in the process of getting it changed to .com, by the way. But it's kind of hard to do on here, and sometimes it doesn't come through clearly, so I'd rather just post that on the website and let you guys go listen. So back to Adam. We know that Adam came in town to help with the intervention, and he said when he didn't hear from Charles, he thought it was weird, and he tried texting and calling but got no answer, no response. So a few days later, Adam and his son Zach were visiting friends in another city and mentioned to the friend about Charles. The friend does a Google search, and that's how they find out Charles had been shot and killed. Adam said nobody in his family called to tell him. So Adam called his parents and said they needed to talk. So he drives over to their house, he and his son, Zach. Now, Tylee was there at this time, and normally she was really friendly towards him, but this time she didn't say anything to him, only talking to Lori's mom, Janice, in a very hushed tone where nobody else could hear. So as Tylee leaves, Janice grabs her by the shoulders and kind of guides her out past everybody. Now, Zach gave an interview to Justin Lum from Fox 10 Phoenix, one of the OGs on this case. Justin Lum, Nate Eaton, Shane Bishop, all those amazing journalists that have brought us this story from day one, really. But Justin Lum talked to Zach. Zach says he sees Tylee at his grandparents and she's leaving, and he can tell she wants to say something to him. And at this point in the interview, Zach gets very emotional. And he said Grandma guided her shoulders and walked her out. And that was the last time that he saw his cousin. You know, it's hard. And I've seen a lot of pictures of Zach and Tylee, and they look like they were very close and loved each other. Tylee looked so happy in pictures with Zach. And you know how cousins are. They're like bonus siblings in some families. They were in mine growing up. And what a heartbreaking last time to see your cousin. So I'm not going to dive too deep into the interviews with Lori's siblings after Charles's murder, but there are a couple of things that I am going to point out. Adam said he felt like Alex shot Charles twice just to make sure he was dead because, you know, you think about it clearly, had Charles survived that, it would have been game over. And gosh, I wish that would have happened. But we know there was that downward strike in the abdomen, likely came after he was close to death or already dead. So the investigator told Adam the way Janice knew about the email and text because she confronted Adam over those about this intervention and also to get the temple recommend taken away is because Lori had Charles's phone for several hours after the murder until she brought it back to them. Scary to think what she did on that phone. She took it with her as soon as the murder happened. And you sit here and you think, why are you thinking about taking a phone when self-defense has happened? Well, we know it's not self-defense. We've read all the texts, but clearly some memos were not gotten when this was being investigated. Adam said Charles always had his phone, and Lori's story about him leaving his phone in the house, it didn't happen, according to Adam. He said it makes him think Lori and Alex planned this, which now we know they did. Also, Adam brought up how Charles, remember, he filed for divorce kind of early on in the year after all this started getting out of control. Now, his theory is that the reason Lori fled for all those days was to avoid being served with the divorce papers to keep Charles's life insurance policy alive. And I think that is exactly right. Adam thought they could get Tylee to break if they could get to her. Now, we learned that Lori took Tylee's phone after Charles's murder and didn't give it back to her for a few days. So also, he said his brother Alex, the murderer, went to Columbia, not Columbia, South Carolina, but the country after the murder. We know Alex would go down there for essentially it's sex tourism. Alex had told Adam that he had seen more light in the podcast than he did his entire life in church. He said Lori loves attention and thinks she's better than everyone else. She had been giving people blessings, which isn't allowed in the church. And he had planned to record her and talk to the state president, but never got the chance. His family was mad at him for even wanting to do this. Lori told Adam she could be shot and nothing would happen to her. And she also said she did not have to eat anymore and she was a translated being. Adam said he learned she had given Tylee blessings. And when Adam confronted Lori about this, she just quit talking to him. Summer Shiflett, who is Lori's sister, we know there was some conversation back and forth with her. And ultimately, she was in New York when the murders happened. She learned later that evening that Alex had shot and killed Charles. But I'm not going to get into her interview. In the summary, it says in the report, investigators feel Summer was given selective information that would lead her to believe Adam and Charles were coming in town to harm Lori. And they say she was an unwitting participant in the events leading to Charles's murder. So, investigation notes from the day of Charles's murder. Alex, Lori, and Tylee were observed as calm, and there was no obvious signs of emotional outburst or chaos. A fire engineer who responded to the scene was surprised about the lack of blood from the abdominal wound compared to the chest wound. Well, we kind of explained that. It wasn't, you don't bleed after you're dead. And so when he received that wound, I think his heart was slowing or had already stopped. Now, here's what's interesting. Brandon Boudreaux, which is Melanie's ex-husband, or still husband at the time, he met with investigators on September 30th of 2020 to give them a Samsung phone that he used to use, and it kind of related to Charles. He said his son used the phone since July, which was the month of the murder, and it was around the time of the murder he got a new phone and gave his son that old one to play games on. I've done that plenty of times. As Brandon was going through the phone to get old pictures, he realized that the texts and the calls from Charles were blocked starting January 31st up until Charles's murder. He found in a folder that said AT&T blocked folder that Charles's contact showed the option to unblock the contact. He said it makes sense now why Charles's incoming calls were going straight to voicemail during these months. The only other person who had access to that phone in January was his then wife, Melanie's. So Melanie's dad also said that Melanie's was mad at Charles because apparently Brandon and Melanie's went in with Lori and Charles when they moved to Hawaii and started that juice business. It wasn't successful and she held a grudge. So there were 24 unread texts from Charles, by the way, on that phone. So the next day, July 12th, 3:55 a.m., what's Chad doing? Well, he's Google searching, quote, Charles Vallow death Chandler, end quote. He goes on to read at least 3 articles about the shooting. Someone in Texas also called in a welfare check on Charles that day. That is later revealed in the document dump when a detective reaches out to this person who called in the welfare check about Charles. The same day, what does Lori do? She wastes no time in trying to cash in that life insurance policy. Lori called Zulema, inviting her over, and when she arrived, Alex opened the door and gave her a hug and invited her in. He said, Lori's in the backyard. She said Lori was really quiet, and then Alex said he shot Charles yesterday. Lori told Zulema that Charles had 100,000 dark entities that came to assist, giving him supernatural strength. When Zulema asks how it made him feel to shoot Charles, he said he was okay because it was a zombie he killed and not Charles. At 10:36, Zulema texts somebody named Julie Clement, who I'll explain a little bit deeper into this crash course who she is. Iplos is gone. It was a Nephi and Laban ending. I'll tell you more when I see you in person. I'm in Chile on Monday for 2 weeks. So she was going out of the country. Alex went out of the country. And then Zulema goes on to say, I'm just happy it's over. July 12th through the 20th. All right, we're going to go through this. And this covers the 12th through the 20th. And I'm just going to read them all in order because it's really confusing to break them up. But there are some things you should never do over text. Number one, break up with somebody if you're an adult because it's just common courtesy, right? Number two, don't ever tell people that somebody has died that they love over text. But Lori did just that. Now, one thing to note in these text messages when I'm reading stepson, the responses from her stepsons, they are not in rapid succession for the most part. They're waiting on answers. She goes hours and hours sometimes without responding to these poor boys. So on July 12th, the day after, at 4:36, by the way, Lori sends a group text to Charles's two adult sons. It says, "Hi, boys. I have very sad news. Your dad passed away yesterday. I'm working on making arrangements and I'll keep you informed with what's going on. I'm still not sure how to handle things. Just want you to know that I love you, and so did your dad." And she put a heart emoji. One son replies, "Lori, what happened?" Lori says, "We're still waiting for the medical examiner report. I'll let you know more when I can." There's another reply from one of Charles's sons. "Where is he and what happened?" Lori texts back, "I'll call you when I can, bub. He's here in Arizona." The son replies, "Where in Arizona? When did all this happen? How's JJ doing? What funeral home is he at?" The stepson says, "Lori, what the blank happened? You can't just tell us our dad died and disappear. You're not too busy to just let us know and disappear." Then another text, "Lori, it's been 3 hours. You're not that busy. I don't care what you're doing." Lori finally responds, "I'm sorry you're so upset. I'm upset too. I'm trying to get JJ ready for bed. I'm waiting to hear back from the medical examiner to make sense out of all this myself. Please be patient with me. It's a crushing situation all around. I'm still trying to process it too and what it means for JJ." So a reply from one of Charles's sons, "When and where is the funeral? How did all this happen?" Another reply, "I want an explanation." Now, just to note, Charles's ex-wife found out sometime on the 12th after these texts that Charles had been shot by Alex. She told EastIdahoNews.com, "I checked the medical examiner's webpage and found Charles had been killed the day before, and they had it classified as a homicide. We further Googled and saw all of the news reports out of Chandler. We found out Alex had shot him." Now, Charles's autopsy wasn't performed until the 13th, but several websites had reported Charles's death as a homicide on the day it happened, including the Chandler Police Department website, Fox 10, and Arizona Central News. Interestingly enough, Alex Cox was not named as the shooter by Chandler police. He was only referred to as Charles's brother-in-law. So we go to July 13th, and there are two text messages from one of Charles's sons with a question mark. Both of them had a question mark. Lori says, "Finally, I'm still working on arrangements and sorting things out the best I can. I'll let you know when I know." One of Charles's sons replies, "Why aren't you telling me what happened? I've asked numerous times. Just tell me." Then there's a question mark. Also on the 14th, another question mark. Now, sometime on the 14th, Lori left a voicemail for one of her stepsons inviting him to talk. And the voicemail said, "It's Lolo. I just wanted to talk to you and see how you're doing. And JJ wants to say hi. So give me a call back and maybe we could talk for a few minutes. I love you. Bye." The stepson said he called her back. She did not answer. And also, that was the last time he ever received a call from Lori. So on July 15th, one of Charles's sons, "Okay, Lori, it's been 3 days. You let us know our father passed away over a text message. 3 days and we haven't heard from anyone. The only information we have is one text from you saying he passed away. You disappeared after that. We need any information you have. What happened? When did it happen? How did it happen? Where is he now? Are there any funeral plans and and it's redacted, and I be a part of it." It's the other son. "We talked to him all the time and now he's gone. He was our dad and we loved him very much. We deserve answers. Also, why have you been the only one to contact us? We haven't heard from Colby or Tylee. I called Colby too and he didn't answer. Is JJ safe and what does he know? I need to be kept in the loop about this all. This isn't a nonchalant topic you can just throw a text at and be done with it." Wow, you think about it, you hear the hurt in there. He was our dad and now he's gone. We talked all the time. We loved him very much. And and then you do think, why would Colby not call? Tylee, we know, didn't have her phone. Lori says, "These are your dad's wishes. He and I discussed this a lot over the years we've been together. My plan is to have him cremated as he wished and then take all 5 of you kids to Hawaii to spread his ashes." She's lying, y'all. You know she never intended to take those kids to give their dad a proper goodbye. He did not want a funeral. He wants a celebration of his life. I've been overwhelmed, but I'm going to try to start these arrangements today. JJ is doing good, but he doesn't know his daddy is gone. It's so tough because he really doesn't understand. He says daddy is in California working. I know how much he loves you boys and always has. I have a lot of things to do with the business and contacting people, and it's still also difficult. Today, I'm trying to put up a memorial page on the funeral home website. I'll send the link to you when I have it. I love you, and so does your dad. This is also the same day that Lori and Colby fly to Houston and just took a ton of Charles's belongings from his house. So on July 16th, the stepson says, "I appreciate this information, but I will ask these questions again because I still haven't been given an answer. What happened? When did it happen? How did it happen? Where is he now? Is there a funeral? When is it? Who have you told about his death? Give me all the information you have. Please, my brother and I deserve to know." So on July 20th, the last day of the texting, one of Charles's sons says, "Well, if you won't answer those questions, can we please have his watches and other stuff he always talked about and had around?" Lori responds, "Of course. Send me the address you want me to send your stuff to. Kay is supposed to clean out the Houston house. I told her to let you and your brother have whatever you want first. Then she can give away the rest or have the rest. I know that he wanted you to have all that you want." Jeez Louise, what a piece of work. The next day, July 13th, an autopsy is performed on Charles. Kay and Larry fly to Arizona to meet with investigators. And when investigators spoke to members of Charles's family, they said Charles expressed concerns for his well-being and threats made by Lori. Charles was reported to have told a family member that Lori upped the life insurance amount without his knowledge and feared she would have him killed. At 9:57 a.m. on July 13th, Chad texts Zulema. "Hi, Zulema. Yes, I would be happy to give you a blessing, possibly this evening or tomorrow. It's crazy about Charles, but it's such a relief." Then at 1:37, Zulema responds, "Thank you, Chad. I'm working until 8, but let me know when you're ready, and I'll take a break away around that time. Same thing if tomorrow is better. I'm going to a farewell talk at 9 a.m. and then work at 12, but I can take a break whenever you're ready. Yes, the Charles thing feels surreal. Still processing that. Big relief he's gone." At 4:09, Melanie's texts Lori. "Adam just called Brandon and told him that Al murdered Charles, and he put it on speaker for me to hear. Can you talk, please? I think Brandon found out earlier. He seemed in shock a few hours ago, and then Adam and Brandon tried to use this situation to their advantage. He cornered me and Adam, put it on speaker to tell me. Then Brandon said, 'Do you still believe everything you believe?' And Brandon is with the moving truck at my new address, moving things with. I'm at the house with the kids." And Lori responds, "Call me." Melanie would send another message to Lori at 5:19 p.m. "Does Tylee have a phone or any way to contact Brandon or Adam?" Lori responded, "Nope, I still have it." Now, Tylee's friend told investigators that after Charles's murder, she stopped responding to text messages and disappeared for a couple of days, which was not like her. So she and another friend went to check on Tylee, and she said Lori was her normal bubbly self, but Tylee was shaken up over Charles's death. And Tylee said even though they didn't get along, Charles was still a father figure to her. And I can't imagine the turmoil in her brain at that moment of having to lie for her mom and her uncle. And then just that internal struggle of her stepdad, even though they didn't get along, he provided a lot of stability and a very nice life for Tylee when they were, for 14 years, since Tylee was very little. And I'm sure Tylee doesn't remember a lot before Charles. So July 13th, text between Chad. Now she uses the name Bubby in her phone and Lori. That text is in regards to a restraining order Brandon had taken out. Chad says he can't just do that, just like he can't get a restraining order against you. The mediator would make that clear. You and Al didn't have any charges against you, which I'm assuming he's talking about Charles's murder. Chad said he would talk to someone whose husband was a police officer. He said these people were dark. Chad asked Lori if Brandon knew about Charles's text messages. I'm assuming to Adam about the intervention. Didn't elaborate there. So the same day, Chad texts Lori at 10:08 p.m. and he says, I'm heading to bed so that I can come snuggle tightly against you. I adore you. You're truly my best friend on earth and throughout eternity. See you in a minute. And he puts 3 butterflies, lip emoji, and a fire emoji. Our next partner is Athletic Greens. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. I gave AG1 a try because I'm always busy and my diet isn't the best, but I still want to get all the vitamins my body needs without taking a ton of pills. I take AG1 in the morning before my first cup of coffee and it makes me feel ready to take on my day. Why take a bunch of different things when you can just mix 1 scoop of powder in water once a day? It's the healthiest thing you can do in under a minute. With 1 scoop, I'm getting 75 vitamins and minerals that help my mood, energy levels, and healthier hair, skin, and nails. It's delivered to me every month, and it's been the easiest way to arm my body with everything it needs to tackle my day. If you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/whattheworld. That's athleticgreens.com/whattheworld. Check it out. You know your girl's been lacking in the sleep department lately, but I found something that helps me sleep much better when I do sleep. Who knew that a better pillowcase is all you need for better sleep? Let's talk about practicing self-care while you sleep. Set yourself up with better sleep this year with Blissy's award-winning 100% mulberry silk pillowcases. It gives you better hair and skin. Seriously, silk, it's what's best for your hair and skin. It reduces frizz, tangles, and prevents breakage. That's because it keeps the moisture in your hair and your skincare products and natural moisture on your skin, unlike cotton does. You can say goodbye to wrinkly, dry, flaky skin in the morning and wake up with healthier and shinier hair that won't take you an hour to fix. Blissy's pillowcase regulates temperatures, keeping you cool at night. You don't have to flip the pillow anymore, thank goodness. Unlike other silk pillowcases, these are the highest quality silk. And guess what? They're machine washable and durable. Valentine's Day is coming up, so why not give the gift of better sleep? Plus, it comes in gift-ready packaging they'll be sure to love. I love that the pillow stays cool, I don't have to flip it, and no more sleep lines. Everybody loves them. They have a ton of different prints and colors, and they make great gifts because there's an option for literally anyone. Hey, men, they love them too. They have over 1 million raving fans, and you need to be next. Try now, risk-free for 60 nights at blissy.com/whattheworld. Get an additional 30% off. That's Blissy, BLISSY.com/whattheworld, and use code WhatTheWorld to get 30% off. Your skin and your hair will thank you. July 14th, y'all. Chad emails Lori the loin fire story. Yes, if you're not on YouTube, I have a graphic I made for loin fire, an erotic epic fail. I am not going to read loin fire, but let me just tell you, it's as cringy as the name loin fire. So there you go. Now you know. So also on July 14th, Alex travels from Arizona to Colombia from the 14th until July 19th. At 8:41 a.m., Alex texts Lori to let him know he's on the plane to California, and she tells him to have a relaxing vacation. At some point that day, Lori calls one of Charles's sons and leaves that voicemail. So I'm just putting that into context. July 15th, Lori calls Banner Life to make a death claim. When asked for the cause of death for Charles, she hesitates. And then she said he was shot dead and said, I don't know how I want to put that. So the associate asked if it was a homicide, and Lori said it was an accident. Lori requested a claim packet to be emailed to her. Charles's son emails Detective Moffat and says that him and his mom are flying in and would like to meet. July 15th through the 16th, Colby and Lori go to Houston essentially to grab anything of value from Charles's house. Colby said Lori called him crying and asking for his help, and he didn't want to go, but he gave in. Colby doesn't think they were there for even 24 hours. So they packed up Charles's things and put them in his truck and picked up Bailey, which is JJ's service dog that Charles paid a ton of money for, that was very instrumental in getting JJ to sleep at night and also keeping him safe because they were worried JJ might get out during the night. And they had Bailey in a kennel. Lori showed Colby some text between Adam and it's redacted, and it stated Lori was nuts and shouldn't be on this earth. Colby then believed something may happen to his mom, and he sided with her. So Colby asked Lori what she planned to do, and she said she was going to be married again soon. And Colby said that did not sit well with him, and he told her, "You got to be nuts to introduce another dad to JJ and Tylee." Colby says he never had a relationship with Alex and thought he was a bum. He said Alex would tell him about his relationships with women, and Colby thought it was nasty. He said Alex started coming around more in 2018 and got closer with Lori also around that time. He said that Alex was protective of Lori, and Colby thought Alex and Charles were cool with each other, and Charles had a lot of praise for Alex. Lori's sister Summer said the same thing, saying that Charles and Alex were close and hung out some on the weekends. She said that relationship obviously changed in January. They drove that truck of Charles's to the airport, which was full of Charles's personal property. They leave it there and fly back. Colby, Lori, and the dog Bailey fly back to Arizona. Lori told Colby that Alex would be coming to get that truck. Melanice was contacted by investigators to talk about Charles's case, but she was advised not to talk as elements of Charles's case tied into her custody case with her soon-to-be ex-husband, Brandon. The same day, one of Charles's sons emailed investigators with some information that he had found doing his own research. These boys were smart. He names the podcast To Prepare People and has timestamped strange comments Lori has made on this podcast. He also says they met with the funeral home, but the person in charge of Charles's arrangements told him he isn't allowed to tell them much legally, and they noticed that the mortuary worker seemed oddly nervous talking to them. He thanks the investigator for his dedication to his dad's case, and he has no idea how much this means to him and Charles's entire family, and says it's at least comforting to know it isn't only them who think something isn't right about this. Very early on, everybody knew something was up. So the same day, Lori texts Chad, "Got Bailey. He seems good. Please clear him going out on the paddle boat." And she puts a heart emoji. Chad responds, "Absolutely, but I first had to capture and seal away 500 level 2s that were in Bailey, waiting to attack you when you fell asleep. They're gone now." There's a heart and lip emoji. The same day at 1:12, Lori texts Alex, "The key is inside up on the dash along with the ticket, and there is $100 cash in the glove compartment and a full tank of gas." 2 lips emojis. It's at Houston Hobby Airport in the blue garage on the 3rd floor. Aisle D in the middle row. You can't miss it. Colby told investigators that he took possession of Charles's truck about a week after he and Lori returned back to Arizona from Texas. He was also given Charles's Apple desktop computer. July 18th, investigators note that Melanice's future husband, whose name is Ian Pulowski, posts his divorce as a status after 2 years of not posting at all. So we're going to get into Melanice and Ian later. It is a very quick courtship wedding. The same day, one of Charles's sons emails Detective Moffat. Remember, at this point, we're still in those text messages with Lori. He says it's been a week and all Lori has told them is their dad has passed away. He notes that on social media, Lori's family has photos of them, some of those pictures taken at Charles's house. But get this, Charles is not in any of the pictures. And he said that may not mean anything, but he thought it was weird. He said there hasn't been a funeral yet. And also, Lori called Kay that day and they talked for around 25 minutes. Lori had poor cell phone reception, but the call was recorded and he offered to send it to Detective Moffat. You got Kay being smart there. Record that stuff. So you got it. He also said it had been a week since his dad died. And all he knows is his dad died, according to Lori. At this point, they know what's up. The same day, Lori texts Chad at 6:55. I just got the letter from the insurance company saying that I'm not the beneficiary. It's a spear through my heart. Who do you think he changed it to? Brandon? Possibly Kay? He left nothing for JJ. Chad says, wow, that's terrible. There's no way to find out. Lori said, I might be able to see when I get his computer on Sunday. I could check the email sent to the insurance company. It will show a change of beneficiary. He must have done it recently. Chad said, it seems you would have had to agree to the change. Maybe your name was forged. You should have a good paper trail to prove it. I love you. This is terrible, but it is probably another step in bringing down the Gadiantons, especially Brandon. So in the Book of Mormon, the Gadiantons are a band of robbers that were covert and led by someone pretending to be good. Lori says, nope, he can change it anytime he wants. He's the agent and can change the beneficiary anytime with their own signature. I'm thinking it must be Kay. You're thinking right, Lori. It was Charles's final middle finger to her, is what I say, with that changing of the beneficiary. Chad says, would be interesting if it got changed after he had 2 bullets in his chest. Yes, he said that, y'all. Lori said, I don't think it could have. You can't change it after the death date. They would review that. Chad said, yes, I'm thinking Kay as well. She's probably freaking out that you got those computers. I'm going to shower and give you a blessing. I'm eager to get home so we can talk. It really will be okay, my love. You are wonderful. The same day, Lori emails Chad. So I talked to the insurance company. He changed it in March. So it was probably Ned before we got rid of him. There you go. Right there. That's why that's part of the reason that woman's facing charges in Arizona. It goes on to say they can't tell me who, of course, but it's done. I still get the $4,000 a month from Social Security. Now, remember, before Charles was murdered, she did that benefits estimator for JJ, because when you have a child with autism, you can get government benefits to help with assistive services or however you want to spend that money. And then you also would get maybe Charles's retirement, and then you get death benefits until you're 18, I believe, or maybe after you're done with college. Zulema told investigators that Lori would tell them she was getting $1 million if something ever happened to Charles. After Charles's murder, Lori tried not to show much emotion, but Zulema said she seemed really upset. Lori would always say they're on a mission from God and she would be okay. Yeah, you're going to be okay just without $1 million. So that's it for this episode. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We are going to keep going tomorrow with it. All right. Have a good night. We'll see you soon.